that is vexing, I think, and it's this. As pet owners, we spend billions of dollars on pet food, most of which is meat from based from mass production facilities. How can we reconcile our need to care for our pets with the realities of their diets?
Well, you can buy dog food that's not factory farmed. It's actually not hard to find. That's my quickest answer.
What about cats?
What I find more complicated is, well, cats we should probably get rid of. What I find a lot more vexing is going to the vet's office, and there are people sitting there weeping, who are in the middle of a $20,000 chemo treatment for their dog, like eating Kentucky Fried Chicken in the waiting room in the vet's office. And they're veterinarians, many, 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 who have devoted their lives to healing sick animals, who participate 2 times a day often in this act that is, the worst thing that we can do as individuals to animals. There is nothing that we are doing that is worse than it. So, the hypocrisies are profound, and they're strange. Why we treat one animal one way and another animal that would seem to deserve the very same treatment in such an antithetical way. But this is part of what it means to be a human in a culture, is that there are these seemingly arbitrary choices that make us who we are. But it's not to say that they should go unexamined.
Well, Jonathon Safron Foer, we've come to the end of our time for our conversation here. But I also, since we've been talking about the stories that change, the stories that we tell ourselves, and the stories that we need in order to get to a better food system, I wonder if I could ask you as our final question, the story that makes you most optimistic, because clearly underneath all of this, you are an optimist about the future, and I wonder if you could share that with the audience here.
Yeah, I'm enormously optimistic about this. Well, there are a lot of reasons to be optimistic. One is, just my own anecdotal experiences, having published the book and encountering people from all walks of life. I mean, I am now reading in front of a certain kind of audience, but I've read in front of other kinds of audiences. And the responses have been almost identical, which is not, I'm going to be a vegetarian tomorrow, but, wow, this is a real problem, and, we need to think about this. One thing that makes me quite optimistic is what's going on college campuses and high school campuses. So 18% of college students in America now describe themselves as vegetarian. There are more vegetarians than Catholics in American universities. There are more vegetarians than any major of study, except for business, which is about tied. You can almost see these like 2 paths of America's future. Are we going to move toward business or vegetarianism? The conversation, if you spent any time on a college campus recently, this conversation feels very different. I mean, the question is not, why don't you eat meat? The question is like, why do you eat so much meat? I said 18% of college students describe themselves as vegetarian. Almost half want more vegetarian options at their meals. And this is not at UC Berkeley, and this is not at NYU. This is American universities. So I think that when these
real America,
heartland, when these 18%, and it will diminish some when they graduate, because it's possible to be political in college in a way that it becomes less possible afterward. But when that 15%, whatever it is, become culture makers and become journalists, writers, become politicians, become doctors, become actors and musicians, this is going to feel very, very different. I really believe that. And I think we're on the verge of having this conversation tip as the conversation about smoking tipped. There was quite a long period when everybody knew it was bad, but didn't really do anything about it. And you might be at dinner. I mean, I remember being at dinners, and someone at the next table was smoking, and my parents were like, but we knew the secondhand smoke was coming over. And my father smoked for a while, but now that wouldn't be the case. Something happened. The conversation expanded. The middle ground was occupied, and legislation started to follow that. And then within a matter of like a year, really a year or two, smoking just disappeared. It just disappeared. It's still legal. People still do it sometimes. But if you smoke a lot, that's an unusual thing. It's something that people take note of. And I think that's what meat eating is going to be in this country and in the world. It will be legal. People will do it. Maybe they'll do it on Thanksgiving. Maybe they'll do it on other very, very significant occasions. But generally speaking, it is something that requires an explanation.
Fantastic. Jonathon Safron Foer, author of Eating Animals, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.